Well, today after watching a video by Voodoo6, link below, go sub to him if you haven't already, he talked about an experience with Bigfoot that he had as a kid when he was younger. And I thought I'd do my own video about this, some of my own encounters with things that could, I no longer think they are, but they're rather unusual things. And also partly why I don't believe any of these things, or why I really don't give much credence to religion and stuff. Because I've had things that, I thought at one time were one thing, but I've since realized they were not. You know, I even had what could be called, the Bigfoot encounter, because I heard the cry, the one that's been recorded, supposedly of Bigfoot. I've heard that around where I live. And most likely, my suspicion is it's an owl of some kind. Because some of them can be rather loud, especially at night. That's my guess. But the first one would be the UFO. Now, this thing, I'm still to this day not really sure what it was. My best bet is that it was a float plane of some kind. Except there's no water in the direction I saw it. So I'm not quite sure about that. But it was in my class in elementary school, looking out the window. And I just see for a brief second what looks like a boat going up at a 45-degree angle, just shooting straight up into the sky. And it disappeared after a few seconds behind some trees. But I have no idea what it was, and it was so fast. Like I said, the shape of it in my mind looked like a boat. That's why I'm thinking float plane, because it could be. Maybe what I was seeing was the rudder, the skids of the float plane, the floats, whatever it uses to stay on the water. And I'm still to this day not completely sure what it was. That's my guess. Another one was the possible thylacine, though. This was probably a skunk or something. What it was is really late at night, I was walking along this beach trail I used to go all the time at night. It's like 3 or 4 in the morning. It's dark. I can't barely any light. And I see something cross the trail about 50 to 100 feet in front of me. And it looked like it seemed to have the markings of a thylacine. And I'm like, well, what the hell was that? It definitely wasn't anything I would know from the region. Of course, the only problem is it was so dark, all I was really seeing was the shadings on it and the markings rather than the color or even the size of it, because it was in the dark. And I walk along the trail and get to whereabouts it crossed. Now, this is why I suspect it probably wasn't a thylacine or anything similar. Probably a skunk. Was that I hear something climbing a tree. The thing had run across the trail and was climbing up a tree. It was pretty big. I mean, it definitely wasn't a squirrel or anything. So I'm not really sure what it was. But, this is an example where my first thought was thylacine. You know, just because, what you first think something is doesn't mean that's actually what it is. Now, I did have an encounter with quote unquote aliens years later. I was staying at my mom's and I was in the room beside her, sleeping. I just spent all night watching TV and I was sleeping, and I had this weird dream. I was in a UFO and all these grays are standing around me. And I was petrified in the dream. I was terrified. I woke up and I didn't sleep the rest of the night because of that. That's how spooked I was. But it was all a dream. But if I, gave more credence to these things, if I was, less skeptical, I might see this as a alien abduction, even though there was no way it was. And I suspect this is what a lot of alien abductions are. People have a strange dream and then account it to be aliens or something, because that's what they see in their dream. Let's see what was. Oh yeah, this is a sillier one, but I suspect it was probably a cougar, but I'm not sure. I was walking late along another one of my outdoor walks late at night. I was walking back from my dad's along a road a bit far out of town and out of the way, and I come near this one house with a barn and whatnot and a bunch of horses. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't a dog or anything. And I'm walking along, and in one of the bushes, I hear this chirping sound. It sounds like a bird of some kind, or even almost sort of like what a cheetah sounds like, though that might just be my mind filling in gaps. And I had a flashlight with me, and I shined the flashlight in the direction of the bush and the chirping. And I get this deep growl coming from there. So I quickly back up and get a fair distance from it and kept an eye for about 15 minutes. Nothing came out, so I still know what it was. But again, piecing together in my mind and things I know, my first thought was cheetah, even though there's no way it was, unless somebody had a pet cheetah that escaped. But that's sort of what was going through my mind. And again, this comes down to, we give meaning to things. We get little bits of information, and our memories and mind fill in the rest of the gaps. As Buddha 6 talked about seeing the bear, but for the briefest of seconds in his mind, it was a Sasquatch. And this is really what we do. In a lot of these encounters, people go with the first gut impression, even though they don't take the time to really think about it. Now, the last one, this was an example of a ghost. Funniest, because I was laughing so hard when I found out what it was. But I was walking home from my dad's office. I was doing some work down there, and coming home, and I'm passing this open driveway. This house is a pretty big house with a large driveway. And I see, standing in the middle of the driveway, this young boy, just staring at me. Pale, black hair, about 8 or 7, really young. And, going through my head is every single horror film I've ever watched, particularly The Ring and The Grudge. Because in my mind, it looked a lot like the boy from The Grudge series. And I'm just standing still. I know this can't be the boy, but my mind's playing tricks with me and going 100 miles per hour. And then it moved its head. And it was a deer. But from the lighting, the angle, and it being late at night, my mindset, I saw a little boy standing there. And all it was a deer. And if I had run off, I might to this day think I saw some sort of spirit ghost of a child standing there. Even though I would be skeptical, but I wouldn't know what it was. And this is an example of this. Another last one I only briefly mentioned was the dream that I've got a couple of videos ways back talking about, you know, ancient god talking to me. And if I was religious, I would put more meaning into that dream, and for the longest time I actually did. But now I realize there's nothing to it. But these are the kind of things that religious people, conspiracy people, people who believe in aliens, they have these experiences all the time. And you give far more meaning to them than there actually is. And, you have to think critically. You have to think skeptically. You have to look for what these things most likely are rather than what you think or want them to be. Comment below if you have any experiences like this where you thought you saw something and then you realized it wasn't. Or something to this day you don't know what it was, but you suspect it wasn't what you originally thought. So just comment below, let me know what you think.